I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all.
All right, here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Reyes Reflection podcast, where we are always free to subscribe. Check me out on those socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes. I got to plug in those partners per usual. ARAVE Cards, Jocko Fuel, SMACKIN Sunflower Seeds, and Mad Rabbit Tattoo Aftercare. Folks, if you want deals at any of those sites, check out my link tree. Now, intro time for my next guest. You may know him from season 26 of The Voice. This guy isn't just a powerhouse on the stage. He has sung the national anthem at Fenway Park. He also performs in the band Roland Nectar. So grab your Red Sox cap and join me in welcoming the one, the only, Kevin James Graham. Welcome to the pod.
Wowies. There we go. Thank you so much, Nathaniel.
Of course. Thank you so much for doing
Glad
this.
to be
I appreciate
here.
you taking time out of your day.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Let's chop it up.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So we were talking off camera about Massachusetts roots and all that fun stuff. That's where I actually wanted to start. So I believe I saw something that said you grew up in Waltham, which is a really nice area. I actually just had knee surgery in Waltham.
Oh,
Talk to me about your talk to me about your experiences growing up, musical influences, personal, professional. I know that's kind of a loaded question, but just let's see where we go. Let's see where this rabbit hole takes us.
let's go. So being born and raised in Waltham, bunch of musical influences from roots, blues, Hank Williams. I grew up in a country family. It was kind of funny. The Voice didn't really show my background, but I caught a bunch of interviews for my background. It's just they handled it how they made me a mystery blind, so they kept it a mystery, which is cool because if you follow the ride, I mean, the layers start to unfold. And here we go on this podcast. I'm going to drop, a few little tidbits here and there that it's going to be new. This is only the first time on this show kind of mentioning stuff as I'm, going through my career here and moving and grooving. But being from Waltham and stuff, it's a great town. It's a sports town. I grew up playing hockey. My father was a good hockey player. My grandfather, a whole bunch of hockey in my family. A lot of fun with my grandparents because I grew up in my grandparents' house. My grandfather was a upholsterer. So like in his shop, he'd be playing like old country music, Hank Williams. So, and then they all played guitar and sang. So it was organic for me to just fall into that. It just happened organic. You couldn't plan it. So, yeah, that's kind of some of my background.
Hey, the best things in life are those organic things that just naturally sprout without you needing to do any work. Yeah. No, I recently had knee surgery in Waltham on Winter Street, if you know where that is. Yep, recently there. Great area, great town, great surgeons. They got me right, so I appreciate them for that. And they have a lot of great little pockets of even just food and stuff like that because you're not too far from Boston, so there is a big influence with the metro area of Boston, but it's still a town, which is a very interesting aspect. It's really interesting that
it
way.
is. Yeah. It's an interesting spread, but there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on within Boston and stuff like that. If you come to Boston, it's a lot of things you can do. It's definitely a historical town, sports town, stuff like that. But a lot of talent, a lot of talented artists. You know what I mean? That roll through because of Berkeley. A lot of roots. Jay Giles band. Guys that were a big part of the classic rock scene. Aerosmith, of course, being one of the biggest. Jay Giles, The Cars, and then a lot of good jazz roots and stuff like that. Tomo Fujita, who's a Berkeley professor, plays with guys like Lettuce and stuff like that. And John Mayer, he was John Mayer's teacher.
No way.
Yeah, he was when John Mayer attended Berkeley. Tomo Fujita was one of his teachers. So those blues roots and stuff like that, which I had a really great experience when I was 18 years old entering those guitar centers like King of the Blues competitions, the Framingham location, and ended up coming down to me and Tomo at the end to go to Boston, which was the finals for the region. I lost to Tomo, but it was he got to kind of know who I was, and I came in, and I'm a very passionate, soulful type of, performer, artist, guitarist, singer. So that was a cool little, I didn't even know who Tomo was when I was 17, 18 years old. And then to circle back around, I ended up seeing him again. He vaguely remembered me, which was really flattering because it was like literally the winner to go to Boston, King, Guitar Center, King of the Blues. It's either Kevin or Tomo. And Tomo's a professor, and me, I'm like 17-year-old, heart on my sleeve. I did the same thing with the voice. Like I went in there singing Teddy Swims, literally just my heart on my sleeve. One of the biggest things with like Reba, she wanted to feel something. She they all want to kind of feel that passion. And that's what I brought. You know what I mean? I was really flattered with the Reddit threads and stuff like that. How a lot of people supported me, and they're like, "Why didn't they use the save?" I wish I could come on here and go, "Well, this was why." I have no idea why. I have literally not the slightest clue. I give a big thank you to all the coaches at the end. They didn't air that, which is fine. I get to communicate that on stuff like this podcast and give some behind the scenes. So it gave me more stuff to talk about behind the scenes because I had great dialogue with everyone. Still follow Adam Bohannon, you know what I mean? Phenomenal performer. Me and him we took the duet really serious. They actually had to cut our stuff down because our harmonies, we were locking in on more harmonies, and we really liked the duet aspect of the battle. And I'm sorry, I went like right into that because it was easy for me to kind of go there. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm talking.
That's why this podcast exists for moments like that. So please don't worry. Yes, let's talk about the voice now since you went there. So you did make a big impression on Reba, who turned around at the very last note. What's going on in your mind? Because, it's nuanced, right? There's good and bad, like all things in life.
Yeah.
In my opinion, a big con of that show is they almost don't want to make it about the performers. They want to make it about the stars, which is completely understandable. Stars are stars, but they're afraid of making stars out of individuals. So they have a hard time of showcasing them or putting them in positions to succeed.
Yeah.
What's going on in your mind when you're performing and nobody's turned around? Reba did at the last moment, because then you hear, and I don't want to say an excuse, but I'm just going to use that word.
Yeah.
They gave an excuse of, well, you sounded like this, I needed that, blah, blah, blah. To me, it was all just fluff. What's going on in your head at that moment?
So being blindsided because, I thought just based off of just the experience with the other contestants and stuff like that, I got a lot of support when a lot of them heard me sing behind the scenes. Couple were very gracious with their compliments and my power vocal, and they're like, damn, you're bringing in a whole different flavor to this show. And that was actually the whole thing with the show. I was like, I'm not this, I'm not that. Do I belong here in a way? I love the show so you can be kind of found. But yeah, in a way, it is a show. And you start to learn really quickly. You don't need to have the agenda on paper and read the agenda to see the Hollywood reality show aspect of it. And yeah, I can understand why they lean into the stars, because the stars are known, right? If you were to put us in an arena, they're going to sell the tickets, not us. And we're getting the opportunity to be showcased. So it is a catch-22 because basically they're the real ratings in a way, because they're the very familiar face. Snoop Dogg is unbelievable, and all these, platinum selling artists, they're obviously they're awesome. But yeah, standing there, I thought I was going to get a chair sooner. I thought I would have got more than one. But I was just kind of like just going with the flow, because I'm being a musician, improv and stuff like that, like especially having a guitar is like my main instrument. I can just move and groove. So that's why like some of the questions they were asking me, the whole gender complication or whatever, I'm like, okay, we actually had more dialogue that they even aired, because I even gave, like we're kind of like busting chops at that point. I'm like, come on, you got better ears than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not, I am what I am. Yeah, I got a higher register voice, I have gotten like, man, you sound like a young guy who smoked a pack of Marlboros, but not like a full on the other gender. All good. It's all good comedy and stuff like that. I can laugh at myself. I know I got a higher register, but I know my voice like when anyone hears it, and that's why the Reddit threads were really, and all the comments, the YouTube, everyone was just like, this is like they were just all as shocked as I was in a way. So it was just a real collected, came together moment, which was really cool. No complaints, you know what I mean? Just kind of standing there, just taking it in.
In that regard, sometimes, like I said, the show's about the stars, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm shit talking here. But in my eyes, I would have been like, man, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, for you, like,
the fuck are you talking about?
Right, because it's like, all right, you're saying that I sound like a completely different gender. There's so many artists out there that have higher ranges. You would never say that about a Bruno Mars. You would never say that about an Adam Levine.
Yeah.
You would never say that about any of them. So I don't know. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the sentiments that they were sharing. And I also didn't agree with this. In my opinion, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the show here.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I thought you were really talented. I thought you were one of the more people that you could have used for different ranges.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, right? It's almost like you were a Swiss Army knife, right?
Yeah.
They could have used you here. They could have used you there. And they're almost intimidated by doing that. It's like, no, let's go ahead and shy away from that and stick with just, all right, let's give them some song. We'll say our fluff, and then that's about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're better than me because I kind of would have been like, you know what, man, you're just saying this to make me feel good about myself when I know that that's not exactly the case. But for you, you got your chair turn, and that's another thing. I want to bring it back to the chair turn. There's some people that get some 4 chair turns, and then there's individuals like yourself that maybe get 1 or none. And I'm like, what is the I don't know. What is the range? What is the register? Because in my opinion, it's like you just should choose the talent. And again, this isn't me. This isn't a 20-minute thing of me trying to shit talk the show. It's cool.
Oh, no, you're all
it's
good.
entertaining. It's fun. It's just, in my opinion, that's something I notice is that they, 1 second it's, I'll accept anybody, any talent. And then on the other second, it's, you didn't really fit into the puzzle that I was looking for. It's like, all right, well, if it's their talent, their talent.
It was really funny. Yeah, I think one of my favorite episodes was when they said, and again, every performer was great, but they said to one singer, I like that you made it your own. And I think they may have used the saves on her or she got past the battle. And then for me, I lost my battle in a way because I made it my own. They liked Adam because he sounded very similar to Teddy, which it's all good. But that to me, it just took the veil down of, I mean, this is television. It's not humans it's not like the foundation of like talent and like this raw type of talent. They want a crescendo. There's something more that goes on with the production aspect, and I respect that. And that's why it's cool. I can talk about it in a good vein and not be salty or like as someone who was on the show. I don't go there because I knew what I signed up for. I was just happy to be able to share what I can do for the moment that I was able to do it. Because the big thing, and Snoop said, he goes, it's literally what you do with this that's going to define you over anyone else. And it doesn't matter how far you get. And it doesn't matter. It's just like, if you're an artist, then be the artist, produce your music. Just like someone walks into a Target, right? They rely on Target. They're going to be able to get what they need from Target. So as an artist, and if you're producing music and you are in that genre and you're finding your audience, then they're going to be relying on you for a certain sound, right? Like we go to Chris Stapleton for this amazing, songwriting, soul, who's a very big part of what I do. And the show actually just allowed me to get back to my roots because being a rocker has been a bit of a tougher market, and that's not all I am. And when I had the opportunity to sing Teddy Swims, I loved the aspect to be, again, like a Swiss Army knife. but really good, really solid at what I deliver as a performer. Just like when like Teddy covers a song, which he's done plenty, it sounds like Teddy versus he's trying to sound like Shania Twain when he covered "You're Still the One." You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's an artist, and that's what I want people to know. Like Kevin James Graham, when you follow, when you subscribe to either the YouTube or I mean, you're coming and you're supporting the artistry, not just like a kind of like a paper in a way like this. There's layers to what you're supporting, not just like a cover, a tribute, or something that's a little bit more just on the surface of what it is. It's a lot deeper, and there's a lot to it that goes into it. So you're really supporting that on a big level.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, your time on the show ended abruptly, but allowed you to go back into your roots. So let's talk about your roots now. You have performed with some pretty big names. You talked about how you're going to be performing with James Montgomery. You've also performed with John Butcher. What's it like to be on stage with people like that you look up to, that you can grab inspiration from, learn from, things like that?
So those guys are awesome because they've really done it. You know, they have resumes. Butcher toured with Def Leppard, the Pyromania tour, which was a huge, huge tour. He was a Grammy nominated for what he did. So I'm, as a student of the game, you know, even if I was 55 years old, I want to always be a student. That's a big part of just being humble. And it's a way to also try and never plateau. You know what I mean? Like Timmy Chalamet, who did his speech for the SAG Awards, like I'm striving for greatness. I respect it. I honor it. I'm very much like that, where I'm striving to be a Grammy nominated artist. Very much like Morgan Wallen, who is a good represent, you know, of like someone that went on The Voice and did his own thing, and really made moves. I'm just in that same type of like mental state and like focus. So that's what I'm trying to do. And whenever I'm with those older guys who have really done some things, I'm just a student of the game. But always having confidence in your back pocket is huge. And knowing yourself. That's why, like, when they did some interviews, like on The Voice, we're doing a little bit of B-roll before like the actual performance. They're like, what if you go home today, Kevin? I'm like, that was short-lived and I had way much more to offer. Like, that's what I said to the camera when we were shooting B-roll. I'm like, that's yanking a super quick plug, because I'm like, I can sing so many different ranges from Aretha to, you know, the hard rock stuff. If you want to go there, I can do some pop. Like, we're yanking this chord a bit early, but I'm like, cool, whatever. Like, it's all good. So yeah, like with the legends that I play with, I'm just, it's like a proverbial passing of the torch in a way. Like, they really support what I'm doing, and they want people to know, like, just good artistry, soul being the foundation of it, stuff that's a little nostalgic, but obviously modern, you know, take is alive and well. You know, that was one of the big things that I was just trying to represent with what I was doing on The Voice.
There's a few things that I admire from you, and that is, first thing is, it seems like that you don't get too high and you don't get too low, and you take what you can from every experience. And I'm right there with you. If you're not a student to life, then you're just going to plateau.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to pull here, pull there. And I think that has overall helped you as an artist, as a performer, that you've been able to get all these inspirations. Because if you just said, no, I'm going to just do this, I'm going to ignore criticism, or I'm going to go ahead and just let myself be so taken down from that experience, from the cord being plugged too quick, in your own words, I think that can actually serve as a detriment to who you are as a talent. And instead, you're like, you know what? I got what I needed, and I gathered what I needed from that experience, and now I'm going to take it and move on.
Yeah.
As opposed of, oh, this is the end of the world. So I admire that from you, because I think
Thanks,
that
man.
a lot of people should have that attitude when they face rejection or when something doesn't go exactly their way.
Thanks. I appreciate. Yeah, it's huge. rejection is inevitable. It's what we do. You know, there's so many great movies you can quote. It's not about how hard you can get hit. You know, it's just that's life. You know, we're in the arena. That's life. Like to me, Earth is an arena, and we're moving through our own speeds. It's not a competition, but it's a you thing. It's a personal drive. And then persistence is basically kind of failure's antidote if you don't persist. And I grew up like that, you know what I mean? Being in sports kind of helps. But that's also the person I am because, like, when you get into music, there's so much talent. To compare yourself is a disservice to yourself. I won't get too preachy, but it's just that's why I'm gonna just move like that, you know. And like guys like Jimi Hendrix, they were also humble and stuff like that, even though they achieved greatness. And I always love that because it's not about the achievement or the plaque or the object that you get, which is a Grammy, which is a trophy, and it's this acknowledgement that's phenomenal. But just to bring and provide, if you can do it, I mean, that's you kind of find what resonates, you know. So that music's always resonated through me. It was inevitable. I couldn't avoid it. It found me. I found it. And then so I'm going into the studio now. Literally, it's next weekend. I'm going into the studio to record my debut solo record. Kevin James Graham, Back to the Roots that's not the name of the record, but it's Back to the Roots. Rolling Nectar is hiatus. That's to the burner, to the backside, because I want to show people more that songwriter, and just some really good hooks. Southern rock with a little bit of soul. It's a Southern soul delight, if you will. If Chris Stapleton and Aretha, had a bastard child, I guess it'd be me. But I just want to go back to the roots a little bit more and really deliver like a real Southern rock type of record. So it's something that everyone can relate to. Country's huge. I'm not super twang country or anything like that, but man, growing up with guys like, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Hank Williams, like the big founding fathers of that outlaw and just roots country music, that stuff is laced lightly within what I do. So I went back to that, which is exciting because the songs, like, they wrote themselves there was very little resistance. And sometimes when you're trying to be something that, like Steve Vai said a great quote, I cultivated my strengths versus focused on my weaknesses, which would have took me way more time. So it's like, instead of being the best at this, here I am trying to do something and it's a resistance. Bruce Lee, flow like water type of. So all these songs were very organically laid out. They wrote themselves very quickly. The lyrics, the melodies, everything came really organically. They sound really good. I got some special guests on the record. I got Kenny Wayne Shepherd's trumpet player, Doug Wolverton, who I played with, who's phenomenal. There's a really great track that he's going to be playing a solo on with his trumpet, and it's going to be a banger. And then Mr. James Montgomery, I'm pretty sure if he can get over, he's going to, I think, blow some harmonica, which is cool because Aerosmith used to open for him. And then when they got huge, he opened for them, and they have a very dear friendship, him and Steve and stuff. I've heard some really cool stories. So the record's going to have some really cool back and forth on it.
That's awesome. That's incredible. You brought up Jimi Hendrix. I actually ran into his cousin at a haunted house attraction in Massachusetts.
Which one?
Witches Woods in Westford.
And which cousin?
Kenny?
Okay.
Yeah, Kenny Hendrix. Yeah, it was something about him. So he was walking, and I just knew that he had this aura about him. And so I went up to, bold and brazen, I went up to him, and I was like, hey, are you famous? And he goes, I'm not, but my cousin is. And I said, who's your cousin? And he said, Jimi Hendrix. And so then he shows me a whole bunch of pictures and everything like that. And He's a really cool dude. Yeah. It was awesome.
I did some shows with Jimmy's cousin Reggie.
Oh, no way.
And then we did a 3-show stint, and the bongo player was Gerardo Velez. If you go on my Instagram and you scroll down, there's a flyer and there's a photo of me and Reggie. But Gerardo, if you look at Jimmy at Woodstock, there's a young kid on bongos, and that's Gerardo. So we did a 3-show with Hendrix by Hendrix. I did most of the guitar work because Reggie does like to have more of like a line in that sand because he is an amazing vocalist, but he also is an amazing guitarist. But he just wants to give you more, just more like just of a different showcase, not always him playing the guitar solo. He's very gracious. So yeah, Jimmy has a few cousins, so keep a lookout too, because Reggie does some amazing paintings. I'm gonna just pitch him right now because Reggie Hendrix is a good buddy of mine, and he's a great artist. The Hendrix family is a very cool family, big family.
Yeah, and it's awesome when you get to work with these people, and you know, Jimmy's a legend in and of himself, of course, but then meeting these other family members and their life, and it's really cool to sit and just chat with them. So
I agree.
Yeah, it was really cool to run into him, and it's really cool that you've been able to work with his cousin and work with people that have worked with him. Yeah, it's a crazy world, but it shows the power of collaboration. It shows the power of putting yourself out there, working hard. You're in a really exciting phase in your career now. You brought up a lot of stuff that you're doing, solo artists, all that fun stuff. You put Rolling Nectar to the back burner, which was a band that you're in, but you got experiences from that as well.
Yeah.
How do you keep your passion alive and continue to evolve? I know you talked about pulling inspiration here, pulling inspiration there, but there's got to be moments within you where you feel down about something or something didn't work out. So how do you work through that?
Sleep on it. Sleep on it. Like, you know, today, if you're in the trench, just let it ride. Let the emotions flow. Be careful with social media. You know what I mean? Because we're all, you know, we're humans. You know, we do like our grace. You know, we do want to share things that are good. And sometimes it may not be all that good at that moment in time. Sometimes you're watching someone else, you know, do a performance on the Grammys and you'd love to be there or something like that. Or you're, you know, you're watching like the list of festivals, these beautiful festivals, like for instance, like Boston Calling or whatever. You've seen these lineups and you'd love to be a part of that. That stuff, you know, staring at that stuff, it can happen. We're humans. But at the end of the day, like, just let it ride, sleep on it. And then for me, it's organic. Like I'll be trying to fall asleep and I'm thinking of a song or a melody or, you know, I got this in my hands and I'm just like, you know, something. Jimmy actually, it's funny we talked Jimi Hendrix, but like he was talking about how music is channeled through him. And a lot of the stuff like the riffs or the clever stuff that maybe that is channeled through me and my character and my personality and also regurgitating my influences, it flows. So keeping it open that way, not being too closed off to that and too gritty and calloused or, you know, raw about not being where I want to be. Take today for today. And tomorrow we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
I love that. I love your vibe. I love your energy. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that because you say a lot of things that resonates with me. I try my best not to stay too high, not to stay too low. I try to take the day as it is and take what I need from that day and then use it for life moving on. And there's so many moments in my life where I went through something and I didn't like what I went through at that particular time, but then 4 years later, 5 years later, I sit back and I'm like, man, that day that I hated, it was for today, and I needed it for that experience. So
Crazy.
I love that you say that because it's so true. Life is cyclical like that. Yeah.
I try to keep the foundation somewhat sturdy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of I grew my Uncle T, who was on The Voice. My whole life, he was always like, all right, Kev, see you later, right when I'd leave or whatever, make good decisions. You know, say make good decisions. Yeah. Make good decisions. Yeah. And you make some bad ones and you mess up and you fuck up and, you know, you scrape your knee and you get your black eyes or whatever you want to call it, but you kind of keep that tucked away. So trying to have some good sturdy ground as we battle and duke things out. That's it. I mean, that's to me that's kind of why I go fortune cookie on you, and I say some more just more grounded type of stuff that helps with all that.
Yep. Nice and poetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few questions for you while we wrap up. You get a whole day off with no commitments. What does Kevin do to unwind and recharge?
Oh, that's a good one. So usually more guitar, but I'm outdoorsy too. Like me and my fiance, we'll go hiking. I still ice skate. Love to play hockey and stuff like that. So like, we'll dip around. I'll play PS5.
Nice.
Yeah, music is one of my big passions, so I'll dip into that if I need to.
Nice. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a good one. Man, I would say make better decisions. Not just good decisions, but better decisions. Because sometimes as young, you do not realize it, but sometimes the older influences they are actually really trying to help you avoid, and you don't listen. And you just don't listen. You know what I mean? You're hanging around with people that end up not being true to your cause, fair weather friends and stuff like that. And man, it's like the time I spent when I could have done X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? Dropping out of high school, and maybe I should have went to Berkeley, or maybe this, maybe that. My younger self, I would say, make better decisions. You're not farther than like, because when you're younger, you try and rush to grow up. You know what I mean? Because that's like the society that we're kind of tossed into, and it's always a rush. We're always rushing. Everyone, it's natural. It's natural. You know what I mean? We want money. We want this. We want that. We have needs. And sometimes you think you're doing a service, but it is down the road a disservice. I would have went to The Voice sooner. And I avoided it because I didn't like competitions, because I don't like competitions. This is subjective. Art is subjective. No one's going to like my voice. Someone's going to love my voice. You know what I mean? Like that's inevitable. You had that 50-50 down the line every time whenever you are picking up a paintbrush or you're trying to create something from nothing. You're going to have people that like it. You're going to have people that don't. So to my younger self, stay true and make better decisions and stay a little bit more focused on, keep your eye on the prize, because I felt like it kind of cost me a little bit of things that maybe could have happened sooner as I look back. And I should have like someone wanted me to do American Idol and I didn't do it out of like fear of a contract or something like that. And it's like, just sign it, and just do it. Just do it. Like fear, like, of being criticized. When I was younger, I was more shy. It took time, but it was like around 16 years old, I was really big into like Zeppelin, Stevie Ray, and I wanted to drop out of high school and be Stevie Ray Vaughan basically. And I did. I dropped out of high school, and I was trying to pursue music, and it was definitely a taste of reality. So, but I should have did things sooner, because like people, you should try American Idol or something to get your artistry out there. Everyone, I've always, at least the one thing I'm really really thankful for is the support I've always received, because I started playing and singing at a very young age. Started playing drums at 6 years old. That was my first instrument. Violin at like 8 years old, fourth grade or whatever. I excelled in that. I was like top of my class and stuff like that. And then got into acoustic guitar, electric guitar and stuff. And music was just super young. So it's good to invest in yourself and do that more. Always invest in yourself, because if you don't, it's very rare someone else. If you don't, so you got to do that. But Yeah, so I'd definitely, I'd take a couple different turns.
Yeah, you said a lot there that I couldn't agree with you more. It's really interesting to listen to your perspective because when I grew up, I'm 31, I think you're 33, which not too much older. When I was growing up, it was almost like unheard of that individuals dropped out of high school, and to hear that you did, to me it's kind of like cuz that was something you heard a lot in like the early 90s, and then to grow up as a millennial, right? And then we're like, "Oh wow, some people did as well to pursue the music." And you're like, "Hey, maybe I would have taken a couple different turns." I love that because it just shows how reflective you are, no pun intended, the Reyes reflection. It just shows how
Right.
reflective you are about your own
Yeah.
life, but also using that as a platform and as a base to say, look, to your younger self or even younger individuals who might listen to this, look at you don't know all the answers. I thought I did. So did this person, so did that person. And look, we all look back and we're like, damn, I should not have done that. I fucked up big time and all this other stuff. Yeah.
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 A lot of booze.
Yep.
And the one of the best sayings, I had a really great boss in the company I was working for, and it would be 1% better every day. Shoot for that, and then know your why daily. Like know your why, and is it? Do you want to support your family? Do you want to? What do you want to achieve? And what's the blueprint? Like a really good friend of mine, his name's Antonio Irons. I don't know if you know him. He's a bassist. He plays for Blue Man Group. You could follow his Instagram. I think it's Musical Entrepreneur or something like that. But he's all about blueprints. You know what I mean? And trying to find your blueprint from getting from point A to point B to point C. But you can't skip B though to get to C sometimes. It is A, B, and C, not A to C. So I love that because I'm definitely big into that. There are things I got to get better with. I'm not a super tech guy with all these platforms to create this high intellectual or like high content of like videography type of reels and stuff like that. Mine's a lot more to the heart. My phone, it's personal. And I got a setup that I'll once in a while I'll set it up. It's a lot more of an analog setup with like I use an interface to record like a video and have like a better audio of me singing. But like what I'm doing in the studio, that allows me to really get that high quality stuff that you're going to hear on the radio and stuff like that. I was lucky enough, like when I did Rolling Nectar's record, the original song Looking For You that I wrote, that's the song I sang to get on The Voice. It was an original song. I was hoping they were going to let me sing it live because it did get some really good support. Like 92.5 aired it, which you may know the river because you're a local guy.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know the river. Yep.
92.5 aired it for the homegrown special that they do is all homegrown music. They aired it, and it got some really good support. Aired in the Netherlands and Canada and Tennessee and Spain and some really great South America support too for what I was doing, which means the world to me. All that means the world to me. I'm the type of person where, like, if I'm playing for two people in a bar, you get the same performance as if I'm playing at Madison Square Garden, like as far as heart and soul and like laying into what I do. I don't hold anything back. You get what you get. So I'm really looking forward to at least keep delivering is kind of put your money where your mouth is in a way. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can go sing other people's tunes, but to distribute your own and be your own artist, that's my goal. When you follow the channels, kevinjamesgraham.com or whatever, any of the links, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, those are the big four that I use. You're getting artistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kevin, for taking time out of your busy day. That's going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors, ARAVE Cards, Jocko Fuel, Mad Rabbit Tattoo, and SMACKIN Sunflower Seeds for supporting today's episode. And as always, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all.